Hello everyone, welcome to my Dead Space remake, hard difficulty, no damage walkthrough. This is chapter 8, Search and Rescue, and this is a really good chapter, minus a really boring array puzzle that has no place in a survival horror game, where you're just doing this really arcadey, connect the lines, and that's how the circuit will flow to allow the array to be powered. It's just so unnecessary. I mean, I know they're trying to reimagine that puzzle from the original Dead Space, but it just interrupts the gameplay. It's not adding any tension, it's not adding any atmosphere, and it's time consuming because you not only have to constantly orient yourself to ground so that you're not getting disoriented or discombobulated or anything while you're doing the puzzle, but there are a lot of dishes that you have to select in order to connect the lines properly, and it just wastes so much time. And not only that, but using the kinesis, you have to get in very close to pick up the dishes, and then you have to screw around with the detection on actually placing the dishes, because the detection on actually placing the dishes is not that good. And I just don't know what you're adding survival horror-wise, and I always bring up this question every time I hear it. What is the fucking point of puzzles in survival horror? All these really arcadey, goofy puzzles that belong in some other genre. I mean, unless you're talking about some kind of circuit puzzle like Resident Evil Revelations, or a specific kind of puzzle that's meant to personify the villain's personality, like what you get with the birthday room puzzle in Resident Evil 7, and we're seeing Lucas's personality demonstrated with the way the puzzle is laid out. Like, there's no reason to have these kind of arcadey, gamey puzzles that just interrupt the pacing and the flow into the game. Why are you delaying the player from seeing the actual lethal, scary threats later on? It makes no sense. And this game just doesn't do puzzles that well, and it doesn't deserve to have them. The puzzles of Dead Space should always be how you approach the combat scenarios, when to use blades, when to actually shoot this particular enemy, like where the enemies spawn, this and that. Like, that's the puzzle design right there. Combat puzzles are what define survival horror, not all these other goofy puzzles. I just don't get it. And speaking of which, that first encounter with all of those necromorphs, that is a really fun encounter, and the flamethrower really shines in that encounter, because I'm going to bottleneck the spawn, keep the enemies away from me, and when enough exploders are together, I'm going to shoot the exploders, and they will kill the other enemies. That is a really fun sequence. And then this room has two guardians, so you instantly kill the right guardian with the flamethrower's firewall effect, and it will instantly kill that guardian because he's actually facing you. And because of the perpendicular spread of the flames in relation to you, that is why it will instantly kill the guardian. But the left guardian, you need to use a combination of the firewall effect and the mines from the pulse rifle if you want to kill it. And that's a pretty simple sequence. And this part right here is the most annoying part of Chapter 8 because of these lurkers. So I was originally intending to bring a necromorph blade to kill one of the lurkers, because one of the lurkers can choose to go on the walls, and it's so hard to track them down because, again, the audio is very dishonest. The other lurker will just remain on the ground level, so he's easy to track. But I tried to use the blade on one of the lurkers, and it didn't connect for some reason. But luckily for me, on this recording, both of the lurkers decided to remain on the ground level, so I could easily track them, and the moment they revealed their tentacles, I was able to use the pulse rifle mines to my advantage. And then right here, I wait in that corner to lure the leapers onto this platform. As soon as the first leaper shows up, I use the flamethrower's firewall effect to initiate a stun lock. And these are black leapers, by the way, so it's going to take 2 uses of the firewall to kill one. And by the time I use the second firewall, the second black leaper should already be landing on the platform, so he'll get stunned, and I'll be able to finish him off. And those are the only enemies you have to deal with in this really boring array puzzle. And I've sped it up, and now that we've activated the array, we need to now deploy the antenna, and along the way there are going to be a handful of enemies, but not too many, which is really good. I do like the choice of the enemy placements here, minus the enemies that were in the array puzzle, because there aren't as many of them. And, you know, the times when they do throw a lot of enemies at you, like in that bridge encounter, you can use the flamethrower in a really intelligent way to give yourself some breathing room so that you can prepare for when the exploders will destroy the other necromorphs. And coming up, there is going to be a new enemy type, which is the Divider. So we're actually seeing the Divider in its full human form. But this game, the Dividers are a much better design compared to how they are in the older Dead Space games, because Dividers in the older Dead Space games had way too much life, and also when they divided into their parts, it was really annoying to deal with them, because the different body parts of the Divider, they can hyper armor through a lot of your hits. However, in this remake, if you dismember a Divider's legs, it will instantly turn into these body parts, and then the flamethrower, when you're using the normal fire, can stun lock these body parts. You cannot use the firewall effect on these Divider parts. They will just walk right through the firewall. You got to use the normal fire from the flamethrower if you're going to deal with these Divider parts. And inside this elevator, there is an enhanced necromorph, and you can easily get rid of him. And now we have the boss fight against the Leviathan Remnant, which is a really good encounter. The only problem is, the strategy I am going to use against this guy, you have got to bear in mind that there is a huge hole with this strategy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expose all 3 of the cores, and when a core is exposed, I'm going to hit the cores 8 times with the ADS cannons. And essentially, this allows me to deal the final blow with the plasma cutter, because my plasma cutter is upgraded in its damage. So in total, 8 ADS cannon shots plus 1 plasma cutter shot is enough to destroy each of these cores, and there are 3 cores that you have to destroy. And the reason why I'm weakening the cores instead of eliminating them is because when you destroy a core, the Leviathan Remnant gains access to a new attack. But as long as the cores are intact, he will primarily resort to this attack, where he's going to thrust his tentacle at you. And you can hear the tentacle attack happening because you hear a roar, and then you hear a second roar, indicating that the tentacle is setting up to try to lunge at you. The other move that he can do is a drag move. The drag move, it happens very rarely, but when it does happen, you've got to go either up or down, depending on the position of the tentacle when it's dragging along the arena. But I have weakened that core right there, so I need to get some more oxygen. And the last core is right over here. In retrospect, I think what I should have done is done the middle core first, the right core next, and then the left core next. Because the right core is very close to the middle core, whereas the left core is not very close to the middle core. So here's how the strategy is going to work right here. So with this last core, what I do is while I'm busy shooting it with the ADS cannon, I'm going to actively move towards the middle core so that I have plenty of time to shoot the core after I destroy the first core. But there is a huge problem with this boss fight. If you destroy 2 cores in rapid succession way too fast, you will soft lock the fight, because for some reason, the 3rd core will just completely disappear. I have posted a video on my channel showcasing this issue, but I don't understand why it's a thing. It's really retarded. But you see right here, the boss is doing the drag move, and he's going down, so I need to go up. And I still haven't destroyed the core yet, because I haven't set up in the right position in order to do so. And I'm sure you can definitely tell why going for the left core as your second core is a better option, because you can easily get rid of the middle and the right core in rapid succession to just end the fight immediately. And you can see right there, I destroyed the first core, but now I'm waiting for the cannon to be destroyed, and then I'm going to destroy this core. And whenever you destroy a core, the boss does a flinch animation that delays him from starting his next attack. So you'll see he waited for a bit of time before unleashing his final move, which is to place a bunch of depth charges around the area. And again, if I did the left core last, then I would have been able to destroy the middle and the right core very quickly, and he would not get the chance to do his depth charge attack. But a couple of the other moves that he can do is when you destroy the first core, he will do the same thing that the first Leviathan did, where he will fire those projectiles at you, and you can use Kinesis to grab onto the projectiles, and then use those projectiles to destroy the cores. It's cool that you can do that, but it's completely unnecessary based on the strategy that I found for the Leviathan Remnant. And here's one blooper. This is why I killed the Divider and the Enhanced Necromorph, because of this rare issue that I got, where the Enhanced Necromorph and the Divider got stuck on the door, so I couldn't go anywhere and I couldn't kill them. So that can happen if you leave those enemies alive. I mean, in my blind playthrough, I left those enemies alive and it didn't happen, but this time it did. So that's why it's just better to get rid of these enemies. And you've already seen the strategy. It's very simple to get rid of these enemies. Yeah, this chapter is definitely a step up in quality from chapters 6 and 7. But again, for the Leviathan Remnant, to avoid the softlock issue, don't destroy the cores too fast. Just wait for a cannon to be destroyed, then destroy the next core, wait for the cannon to be destroyed, and then destroy the final core, and that will be the end of the boss fight. That's definitely a better boss fight than the Leviathan boss fight back in the hydroponics area. So kudos to you, Motive Studio, for actually making a better boss fight than what you delivered previously. And again, when you are in the middle of exposing the cores, the order you'll want to go is middle, right, then left, because the left one is furthest away from the middle. So while you're in the middle of weakening the left core, you can be moving towards the middle core. You then destroy the left core, then get rid of the middle core, then get rid of the right core. And you will end the Leviathan Remnant with really great efficiency. But this is the end of this chapter. Stay tuned for the future chapters. Thank you all for watching, and you take care now.